Like most academics, when I go on holiday, my go-to reading choice is usually
Foucault,
yes, Foucault
Einstein.
and Einstein. Mostly their conversations, which were quite delightful, but also Naughty's lifestyle magazines. Like
The
O
what?
Magazine.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
or, from the 2000s,
Old lifestyle magazines.
old lifestyle magazines because I like the old lifestyles.
Okay, what sort of magazines are we talking here? I know you're going to tell me. Like this is like
Well,
the fitness one.
specifically, I'm gonna tell you about my obvious favorite, O Magazine. Oprah's magazine.
Yes,
Yeah, see,
not the
good O
orgasm
shape.
magazine.
Yeah, not the Orgasm magazine. Oh, maybe there is a different O. I'd like a copy of O. That's not the one I meant, but now that you've given it to me, I don't want to, make you
No,
a refund.
no doubt that the orgasm has been covered in
In O
Oprah's O
Magazine.
magazine, and in either version of O magazine. Yes.
Thank you for my next topic. So today, because I was sort of on holiday, everyone's on holiday during COVID. I got sucked into this article from 2008. It's a diet article,
Yes.
and it begins with these penetrating questions, and we can all relate to them. Has mindless munching got the best of you?
Sure.
This could be an O magazine. Are you one of those
Stop it.
women with a fridge full of nothing but film? I don't know what that means.
Film.
Film.
Oh, do they mean like leftovers covered in cling film sort of stuff?
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So are you one of those women who with a fridge full of nothing but film, or is it that you simply have too much on your plate? Whatever your eating style, our genius food expert teases, tricks, and makes over your diet without ever making you feel deprived. And I thought, tell me more. As I can see your face too, you're thinking, I really want to know about this. So the article goes on. First up, Jo Piazza is a party girl. Anyone who's read her New York Daily News gossip column, which is known as Full Disclosure, they will know that she dishes out about bold-faced names that make up the Manhattan's nightlife. So people from around Manhattan, the famous, the beautiful, etc.
Okay, she's gossip columnist. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
She's doing gossip and lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah. No, Joe's in this article about dieting.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means is her lifestyle means she has to go out a lot, at least 2 or 3 times a week. She works the red carpet circuit of movie premieres, TV show launches, fashion galas, all that stuff. And for her, dinner is often basically a wine, as they put it, dinner often comes in a wine glass with whichever finger foods float by.
Of course, hors d'oeuvres. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah.
But
I know.
but it's not the start of the healthiest of diets.
No. So Jo was the first subject in O's mindful eating makeover experiment.
Okay.
So their idea, it's a great idea. I mean, this is genius. I mean, we should do this podcast because obviously we are not only the target audience, but we know the most about women who need to diet or would like to diet. So the idea, as they put it, is you take 4 women. One's a glamorous out on the town city girl in her 20s. Jo.
Okay. This does sound like the start of Sex in the City, but
doesn't
it? Anyway, 4 women. One
really does.
glamorous out on the town.
City girl in her 20s.
Yep. Cool.
Next is a new mother, once an adventurous cook, now an aficionado of cheese puffs and kiddie waffles.
Yeah.
She's in her 30s. Then we have a 40-something fast food lover with a busy job at a brokerage house and a desire to lose weight.
Okay, fair enough.
It's pretty much describing me. And an entrepreneur in her early 50s whose diet is admirably healthy other than a penchant for snacking. And they took these 4 people and they wanted to see if food behavior expert Brian Wansink, PhD, could gently get them to improve their eating habits.
Okay, all right. What did he do?
So each woman opened, as they put it, each woman opened her door to the food makeover team. So Brian Wansink, PhD, Jackie Haven, who's a registered dietitian and a director of nutrition marketing and communications at the Center for Nutrition Policy Promotion, and O journalist Sarah Wildman. So the plan was Wansink would basically tell each participant at the beginning of their fridge rummaging visits, he'd go in there.
So they're going in and looking in their fridge?
Going and rummaging around in the old fridge.
I just got to say that as a job, I've never thought to put that on your dream job scenario, but geez, no, going through other people's fridges and going, all right, so that's what you're doing here. That's what you that really, cool. I mean, my mother has always said that she feels like randomly in the shopping supermarket, in the shopping centre, someone should come over and say, my God, madame, She's obviously in a French supermarket right
Yes,
now.
of course. Well, they're the best ones.
Mon Dieu, madame, you have the best shopping trolley. So
Yes.
here is your award. My wife would tease me and say I probably feel the same way when I'm...
I do. I was going to bring that up when you're talking about rummaging through fridges. I stand in the queue at supermarkets going, what the fuck? Are you an adult? That's 9 loaves of white bread, 24 cans of Coke, and some chips.
Look, I'm not doing that.
grown-up.
I'm not doing that. I'm trying to piece together their lives. Like, you see some people...
I'm just judgment. Nothing but judgment.
That's nice of you. I know. This is where we differ. I'm just trying to understand the choices they're making. The people that are spending not much on their own food, but they've got the ritziest of the pet food. They've got the really and it's like, okay, that's where your priorities.
That's because my little Hermione's a fussy eating cat.
Well, fine. I mean, that's what you care about. So I like to piece together their lives, and going through people's fridges would be fascinating.
Oh, no, and you'd be good. See, you're a better person than me. I'm just straight up judgment. I'm like, you make me feel better because you're fucked. Like a normal person. That's why I read these magazines.
Oh, okay.
So Wansink and his two co-rummagers would go and they'd meet each woman. And then Wansink would say, there are 5 major diet danger zones.
I was just going to say, this sounds a little bit sexist that they went forward.
No, it's target audience. It was O Magazine, not a lot of dudes, except for me, obviously.
All right,
so,
fair enough.
Well, look, it can be both. It can be sexist and target audience in your defense. As he puts it, there are 5 major diet danger zones. So there's, and we'll get into it, meal stuffing, snack grazing, party binging, restaurant indulging, and desk or dashboard dining. They sound pretty self-explanatory, really. So, yeah. And he says, look, make 3 small changes in a problem area, which I assume is one of the 5. And he promises you'll jumpstart the rest of your life without even knowing it. So all 4 volunteers were, of course, very eager to try, as you can imagine, because this hits on one of my least favorite things, which is a life hack. And I find those things completely annoying.
How is that one of your least favorite things?
Because they're balls.
That's like, how you make your life better, by hacking it.
How can I drink 9 liters of booze a day, only eat white bread, lie on the couch, and still lose weight? And it's like, you can't, or get dysentery. There's your life.
Maybe there's a way. Maybe there's...
No, shit yourself empty. Or in their case, probably never shit at all. So let's go back to our new friend Joe, the gadabout town gossip columnist. They follow her around for a night. It starts at 9 p.m. So they start first on the red carpet at a trendy Bowery Hotel in Manhattan's East Village, where these 2 networks, Bravo and the CW network, I don't know what CW is.
Doesn't matter.
They're hosting a party to showcase their new season shows. And as the magazine puts it, thin and deeply tanned from a recent vacation, Joe is wearing a black satin miniskirt, a skin-tight blouse, and white patent leather heels, and does a bunch of interviews with actors. I don't understand why the clothing matters, but that's what she wanted to describe.
I get it. It's a lifestyle magazine.
Yeah. She has eaten nothing since 2 p.m. It's now at least 9 p.m. And at 2 p.m., she had a baked potato with cheese, sour cream, and bacon bits, which is delicious.
But not exactly, a lifestyle hack kind of diet.
No. So they describe this. Then the article goes on to describe basically how crappily she eats and drinks, and also that she smokes. They talk about how she has lots of party snacks, only feta cheese in the fridge. She eats pizza if she's really angry.
Eats pizza when she's angry.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't? But I'll also eat it if I'm happy.
No, it's happy food for me.
It's when you start eating, you're like, I'm happy again. So what was food behavior expert Brian Wansink, PhD's advice to Joe? We'll be right back to tell you after this theme tune.
Welcome to the Wholesome Show, the Hack Your Life with Science, or for science, by science, in science podcast for people who sit up the back of the classroom.
And in which we ask the pointless, stupid, crazy, and downright irrelevant questions so that you, dear listener, do not have to.
The Wholesome Show is me, Will Grant, and...
me, Dr. Roderick. I have a 3-pack that's totally nearly getting towards halfway a 6-pack, Lamberts.
Really? You need a life hack will get you to the 6?
Yeah, I'm going to life hack my way. Each 3-pack has to divide into 2, and boom, I'm there.
There you go.
Yeah,
the Wholesome Show is brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Science.
And dietary life hacks.
Yeah, and because you should be kind of aware of science, and also, science is doing some great stuff out there. So...
I've heard that.
Look after your scientists. Give them a
I
hug.
will. I'll give them. This is why I'm giving them these life hack advices so they can eat well and be busy scientists.
All right, give me the hacks. I want to know what I can do.
So let's get into Wansink's advice. First, he wants to address Jo's irregular eating. So he says, look, she needs a steadier supply of healthy calories to keep up her stamina, and he wants most of those calories to be from fresh produce.
Okay.
Who'd have thought?
No, it's again what you were saying. There's no hack. It's just pretty damn straightforward. Eat nice,
good food, not shit food.
And
he
that's
encourages
the end
her
of the
to
show?
buy a tray of pre-cut vegetables, suggesting that you can get these many supermarkets sell platters of pre-cut veg. He says, look, it's great.
In general, you shouldn't buy platters for yourself, though. Like, platter is a party food. Like, don't buy yourself
She's a party girl.
like ones you get the platter of vegetables, and they'll upsell you, and they're like, "Do you want the cheese platter and the mini pie platter as well?"
Yeah, and the margarita mix.
Yeah, that's not a great way to go. Or some shrampies.
as Brian Wansink puts it, it can have dip or salsa in the middle. I know you love your sauces. He's talking to Joe. Just pop open that container and eat some dip by using vegetables. Also, stock your fridge with pre-cut cheese cubes. Now, I think that's funny. Anyway, so why does Wansink think Joe will change? I keep calling her Joan. Joe will change her anti-vegetable ways. This is because his research found that people who store pre-cut veg on the middle shelf of the refrigerator eat 230% more than those who leave the produce in the crisper.
Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah,
this is research.
It's hidden in the secret box. Like, no one opens up the crisper. Like, you put the...
No, unless... Can you make a salad? You're like, okay, but I would rather have cake.
So, hang on. Just to go slow here, his research is showing that the stuff on the middle shelf of your fridge, you're more likely to eat?
Yeah. So, if you leave the stuff like the pre-cut veg there instead of in the crisper, 230% more likely.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot of more likely.
That's like more than 130%.
Yeah, way more. I don't know numbers, but again, more.
Well, that's US, so that's imperial. In the metric system, that's like 4,000%.
Yeah, exactly.
He also says to Joe, keep other nutritious snacks like mixed nuts, whole wheat crackers, etc., visible, and eat a little something before going out. And he says she should pack up some of these pre-cut veg and take them to work. So keep the good things visible and accessible, take them with you, etc., as you'd expect.
Yep.
Finally, he wants Joe to trick herself into reducing her alcohol intake. And this is how he suggests, or this is why. He says, look, in my studies, we found that bartenders pour 28% less into a tall, skinny glass than a short, rounder one. There you go. And diners pour 14% less into a white wine glass than a red wine glass because they're taller, because they appear to have more wine.
Oh, okay. So pick glasses that will trick you into drinking less.
Yeah. So he says to Joe, always choose the tallest, skinniest glass and white wine rather than red wine.
Okay.
This guy's an expert. He's got a PhD. So the reason O Magazine and many other magazines, TV shows, etc., started to talk to Wansink is because he wrote a book called Mindless Eating, Why We Eat More Than We Think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, cool.
So a few pointers from that book first. This is as reviewed in the New York Times in 2007. 5 tips from mindless eating. Are you ready? Do you want to write these down?
No. Well, I'll just listen to them. I'll internalize them. Yeah.
You can re-listen.
You feel like post-it notes.
Very podcast.
Post-it notes would be good or something.
So first up, he explains the psychological cues that lead people to overeat. The human stomach, he says, isn't sensitive enough to notice small caloric differences. So it doesn't register how much it's eaten until 20 minutes or so after the food has been swallowed.
Okay.
So he argues people instead rely on their eyes, ears, and noses to tell them when to stop eating, and therefore we often overeat as a result.
Okay.
That's the background. This is non-controversial. I've heard this before, not just from Brian. So some of his tips. 1, hide the cookies and uncover the carrots, as you'd expect. So basically the things you want to eat more, make them more accessible.
Yeah.
And the things you don't want to eat more of, make them less accessible. So, you put your cookies in a safe guarded by wild dogs with coronavirus smeared on them.
I'm loving that it took science to suggest this.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know that you really needed to do science on hide the stuff that is unhealthy and make the healthy stuff prominent.
I thought you were pro-science, man.
I'm totally pro-science.
I thought you were a fan. I thought you cared. I thought you loved it.
What I'm normally saying about science is it's great for answering questions that are really hard to solve. This doesn't sound like one of the super hardest questions.
You reckon you would have worked this out all on your own?
Maybe.
Not everyone's a genius.
I wouldn't have the numbers, though. So
no, you wouldn't have the numbers. That's true. Point 2, the same sort of thing goes for the office. He says that if, for example, there's a public stash of candy at work, make sure it's not in a glass bowl. Because in one experiment, he and another researcher called Palmer found that secretaries sitting near clear dishes filled with Hershey's Kisses ate 71% more than those sitting near those that were in white, non-see-through dishes.
Can't see it. All right. So they're looking at you all the time. All right.
Yeah, so that's 77 calories a day extra.
So this is saying not only should you hide your food, but make sure your food can't see you as well. So
yeah, otherwise, if it spies you,
that's the danger. Yeah.
And so he reckons over the course of a year, the clear dish would have added about 5 pounds of extra weight, which is about 415 kilos to this poor secretary.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
He also says, of course, convenience leads to consumption. So food is easy to grab, even if the difference can be measured in mere seconds to make it easier to grab, the more you'll eat. Hence the carrot stacking on the middle shelf as opposed to the crisper. So don't leave your cookies open and on the counter, basically. I like this one. Don't get rid of the evidence. So another experiment he did, people dining on chicken wings ate more if the bones were cleared away. But if they were left there, people had a reminder of how much they'd already eaten.
Yeah, I always stop when my pile of human bones gets, about that big. I'm like, that's too many bones on my plate.
Yeah, so, if you can't see over it to the person you're dining with, that's when you think, maybe I'll only have 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, all right.
But if you clear them away, you keep eating till you die.
Maybe. Yeah.
He also says, use your eyes to your advantage. So since your stomach isn't able to keep perfect track of calories you're eating, you rely on your eyes to a large degree. So the bigger something looks, the less of it you'll eat. So he's basically claiming that if
is that true?
Yeah. No, well, he's got studies. We'll talk about them.
All right. Fair enough.
This is why this is why soup is generally so healthy. The amount of water in it causes people to feel full when they're actually full rather than a few hundred calories later. Fine. So that's some of his stuff. This is from his book. This is as reviewed in the New York Times. New York Times, yeah. But let's learn a little bit more about Brian, the legend, the man, Brian B. Wansink. So he founded the Food and Brand Lab in 1997 at the Uni of Illinois. He then moved to Cornell in 2005, where he was a professor and a high-profile researcher with a very impressive track record and billed as a world-renowned eating behavior expert for at least 25 years.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty impressive. The White House appointed him to lead the U.S. dietary guidelines 2007 to 2009.
I like that the White House is taking on the idea of hide your cookies. I think the White House needs to get behind that one.
That's what Obama ran on that for his second term.
And maybe the current administration could also get behind a little bit of hide the cookies in the KFC and maybe
leave out your Maccas.
Yeah.
So he's, of course, been a keynote speaker at conventions around the world. He wrote Mindless Eating, another one called Slim by Design, other books. He's published hundreds of papers, which have been cited apparently over at least 20,000 times, and his H index is 72. Is that good?
It's good. It's good.
What's yours? 3? Mine's
look,
-4.
Yeah, exactly. Mine's pi. So,
So it's infinite.
Yeah.
In a sense. It can never be fully calculated or represented. Oh, my God. So through his ongoing research at the Food and Brand Lab, he's found all kinds of surprising things. So a lot of it to do with eating, he found that's more to do with the perceptions than taste that influence our decision to bite, eat, drink, etc. So it's perception. For example, fancy wine labels entice us to drink more.
Well, of course.
For me, it's just,
No. I don't drink wine for the flavor or the alcohol or anything other than to have
label only.
A label near me. I just like to have that label associated with me.
That's why I quit smoking when they changed the packets, because the packets were so sexy. I'd smoke, 4 packs a day.
Why don't you just have a few packets around you to show that you're associated with that brand? You could just, always have them rolled up under your sleeve or something like that.
As a Marlboro man myself. He also says big plates make us eat more. Exotic descriptions on menus coax us to order dessert.
I like dessert. I'll order dessert if I damn well want to. Exotic descriptions.
Yeah, who needs coaxing? So based on information like this, he's developed a series of simple tricks to help us change unhealthy eating patterns, as we've heard some of. The US Department of Agriculture were impressed by his unique approach to food, so they appointed him executive director of its Center for Nutrition Policy and Promotion, CNPP. And the woman in the original story with Joe from Oprah magazine was the head of communications, et cetera, and a dietitian from there.
Okay.
In 2010, he was put in charge of the dietary guidelines for Americans and changing that sort of My Food Pyramid interactive nutrition program.
He changed
So
the food pyramid?
Sorry?
He changed the food pyramid.
Well, I think he was overseeing the
So
guidelines.
down the bottom, it's down the bottom of the food pyramid now. It's food you can see, and then up the top is foods you can't see. So eat lots of foods that you can see, eat
make
lots of
foods visible. It's not about the food; it's about where they're placed.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You've done this before. So, in one famous experiment, the bottomless bowl experiment. Have you heard of this?
No.
Does it ring a bell?
No.
So, 2005 paper called "Bottomless Bowls: Why Visual Cues of Portion Size May Influence Intake."
Please tell me. I'm just visualizing here that they get 10-year-olds. I don't know why you have to do it with 10-year-olds, but it'd be funny.
Always 10-year-olds.
It'd be funnier because they eat messy and they're crazy. But you sit them at a table and you've made these trick bowls full of spaghetti bolognese, and you keep pushing up more spaghetti bolognese, so it's always completely full, and you see how far.
Not far wrong. Not far wrong.
Oh yes. So I just like the idea of torturing these 10-year-olds like this with this, and they'd be like, why is this bowl still there?
How old are your children?
I don't know.
They're not 10 yet?
No, they're 7 and 9, but they would get the same. They would get the same joke out of this. They would be really.
As they gorge themselves to death.
They would stop. But
would they?
Yes,
my kids are the best kids. Our kids are dumb.
Kids
just 10-year-olds are dumb.
They get
So this bottomless bowl study was a landmark for him. So basically, in this study, roughly speaking, participants sat around tables in groups of 4, and they're all in front of a bowl of tomato soup.
Not spaghetti bolognese. All right.
A good tomato soup's not freaking bad though.
No, I like a tomato soup. I get it. It's just not as much.
But you got to have toast and cheese. I mean, if it's just a soup, like whatever.
I get it. It's delicious. Okay.
So they give them 20 minutes to eat as much as they wanted, and then asked to rate a bunch of things, including how much soup they thought they'd actually eaten. So the main thing here was some of them had been sat in front of a normal bowl, and the others, my printer stopped inking, otherwise I couldn't show it to you. The others had this fancy little contraption. There was a little tube in the bottom of the bowl,
pumping
constantly
more soup
filling
in.
it with soup.
That makes me so happy.
It's great. This is the kind of research we should be doing because it's funny.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, maybe back when we were allowed to have, around university, like students around. Let's do a bottomless bowl experiment with students just because it's funny.
Yeah. So according to his research, participants, they didn't know they were getting a self-filling bowl, obviously. The ones who got the self-filling bowls ate about 3/4 more soup than the other ones.
Is that all?
But they didn't think they'd eaten any more.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's nearly double. That's a fair bit of soup. Over 20 minutes, you can eat a lot of bloody soup.
And I, by default, because I was raised in the Depression, have to finish my bowl. I have to get to the end, otherwise, obviously, I'm insulting.
And then eat the bowl.
I'm insulting all of the farmers. Yeah,
and then
crunch
their
that damn
grandchildren.
bowl up in there.
So this was a core component. This kind of kicked off his idea of mindless eating, the book, and it won an Ig Nobel in 2007, which is fair.
Actually, that's quite a nice. I mean, I know that Ig Nobels are, good science done for weird purposes. I think that's a well-deserved one.
No argument from me. At the heart, as it was put in this particular source, at the heart of his work was an accessible, inspiring message. Weight loss is possible for anyone willing to make a few small changes to their environment without need for strict diets or intense exercise. Fucking hacks.
There you go. See. Well, here's the hack: don't put your soup in a little pipe that continually fills your bowl. I mean, so long as you don't do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah. When you're at the crockery store and it says, "Do you want continually self-filling bowl or not?" Go not.
Oh my God, what is it? I know he turned out to be intensely racist, but he was from the 1930s. The magic pudding. And
when you turn it 3 times and it refills or something.
I think so. Yeah, and it was porridge. Was it always porridge? It was a pudding bowl.
It was a pudding. It was a black pudding or something.
No, it was like Christmas pudding. It was sentient. But surely it kept filling. That was the point. And when I think my mum read it to me when I was about 7, I was like, whoa, this is genius. Who cares about wizardry to fly or cast spells? No, I want a pudding bowl that keeps filling.
Infinite pudding. I actually played a magic pudding in one of my primary school Christmas pageants.
You played the magic pudding.
Yeah, there are like 4 of us, and we had to wear these kind of round pudding things. I was quite a fat kid too, so it was really quite funny. I would have been laughing at someone else's kid if they looked like me when I was doing that.
Teachers were allowed to be way more evil back in the day.
This is like 1976 or something.
Imagine these teachers are like, get the fat kids to dress like the magic pudding.
We'll get the really live good singers, and to get up there and do their stuff, and the fat kids dress like food.
What's your talent, eh?
Around.
What's your talent? I know what, I got a job for you, little jubbly boy. Oh my God. Teachers can be awful.
Oh, look, arguably I already was a pudding. So, I mean, it's just, put a bow on it.
Oh my God, that's great.
So for years, Wansink had a serious level of prominence, and the envy of many academics. Heaps of studies, heaps of news stories. His bottomless bowl of soup studies were described as, quote, a parable about the potential health effects of large portion sizes. He had another study called Bad Popcorn in Big Buckets, which warned about the perils of presenting food in large quantities. Like, when you go to the movies and you say, I'll have the one that's bigger than my car, and you eat it all. Because, you don't want to waste it. Back to the Depression.
Exactly. The farmers from the Depression will get you. They're ghosts.
Yes, the ghosts of them, their grandparents, etc. And we already know he was cited in many popular magazines, including Oprah Magazine, Today Shows, New York Times, Washington Post, totally smashing it. But then. So in late 2018, the provost of Cornell issued a statement that said a faculty committee had investigated Wansink and found that he had, quote, committed academic misconduct in his research and scholarship.
Is this the soup
including mate. Including misreporting of research data, problematic statistical techniques, failure to properly document and preserve research results, and inappropriate authorship. Obviously, he was framed.
Well, tell me what he did. What did he do wrong? What was
anyway? Next week. So the investigation apparently was a culmination of a very large inquisition into his work by journalists and academics, and it dated back to a blog post a couple of years earlier, which a lot of people decided looked like he was encouraging his grad students to p-hack, which is basically keep fucking with your data until it looks statistically significant.
So basically the story here is if your significance is 0.05, it means 1 in 20 chance that it could be by chance that you found something. So you haven't actually found. So if you then go out and do 30 or 40 studies, then surely, out of 40 studies, 2 of them are going to appear to be significant by chance, but it's just because you've done heaps of studies.
So you do the extra studies, or you just keep reanalyzing your data until you find something.
Okay.
Which, in some ways, I've got to say, like...
Please tell me the bottomless soup bowl wasn't a p-hack, though, because surely I'm going to keep eating the bottom of that soup bowl. All right, you tell me later.
Keep eating it, dude. Keep eating it.
I will.
So, basically, he was accused of p-hacking and etc. So other researchers, after seeing this, started to ask Wansink for his data, which led to him apologizing, promising to redo his stats, and articles started to get retracted. So the soup study, for example.
Yes.
There was a plucky postdoctoral researcher called James Heathers at Northeastern Uni, Boston. So he posted the results of his reanalysis of the data from the bottomless bowl study, which called into question the results. And he used this technique. I'm not going to turn this into a stats lecture, but it's interesting. So they call it SPRITE, sample parameter reconstruction via iterative techniques. Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, no, everyone knows that one. That's a
SPRITE.
Very famous one.
People would think of that more than the soft drink.
Of course. I mean...
So basically what they do is you can investigate the likelihood that the numbers that reported could actually be calculated, could actually turn out from that data.
Okay.
So it's a way to mess with them, basically. So what you got is you plug into this thing the mean, the standard deviation, the number of data points, and then you kind of go, okay, we know that at least some of these values have to have a value of 3, or a specific value, and then it says, okay, given these limitations, let me tell you what kind of data spread you could have.
So it's a way of going backwards from results to say what their data set should have looked like, and if that data set is actually possible.
If you got this, and this, then you'd likely have that. If you got, could you get these results from this data, et cetera, et cetera. So the hope is essentially that you'd get some kind of realistic output from this. So he puts these data from the soup experiment into SPRITE, and the results were shitty. So using the limitations that were described in the text, the numbers that had to be part of the results, so they were the restrictions that were defined what was possible. He found, for example, that only 2 people in the bottomless condition believed they ate more than the 16 ounces of soup that actually happened. The SPRITE solution suggested that you could either not find any possible results for this or that look like this, or if you did, the solution required a lot of people to think they had actually eaten no soup. So they were reporting how much they thought they ate. And so this solution to be true would have meant that, X number of people said, I didn't eat anything, man. And 2 people have had to have said, I ate at least a liter.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, when you retrofit it, it's like it's not possible to get the results you said, mate.
Seriously. So there's got. I've just got to say though, surely. I mean, this seems so plausible. If you've got a bottom, there would guaranteed be people that they got a bowl of soup, and some people will eat a little bit. Some people will eat until they feel full. Other people will eat to the bottom of the bowl, just
And ask for more. Yeah,
sure, and ask for more. And if you are in the bottomless bowl condition and you are trying to eat to the bottom of the bowl, and suddenly you're getting more soup in there, you'll keep eating for quite some time until you finally go to, all right, I am chockers. So that sounds like the most. Once you've set this up, surely the results are easy to show. Why would you have to fake it? That's so weird.
Well, I know, because I mean, when you think about it, all this is saying is the numbers he reported couldn't be possible or extremely unlikely. That doesn't mean the premise is wrong. It just means that what he's using to demonstrate it is horseshit.
I'm really confused by that. Like I get you found some squeaky effect somewhere in something that goes against the grain of how we think about the world, but this doesn't go against the grain of how we think about the world. All. You know, if there's more soup there, you're more likely to eat more. Yeah, that's not.
It's weird, isn't it? But according to this sort of retro analysis thing, the numbers that were reported in the study basically looked impossible to get. It's weird, isn't it? Because you're thinking, well, exactly as you say, like, well, obviously that's going to happen, but no. So it goes on. So there was an article in The Guardian in 2018. So this is around the time the provost had said, this guy's a jerk. Mindless eating, is there something rotten behind the research? So it says here, Wansink retracted a fifth paper after editors said the 2003 one that he cited it was called unreliable data.
I just got to say, if you are in university management and once someone has retracted a fifth paper,
you get sad.
Look, I don't know at what point you say, buddy, all the papers, bring them all in. Let's have a go through all of them, because once you get to, I mean, I don't actually know very many people who have retracted any papers. I know that there are lots of retractions out there in the world of science, accidents, fraud, clearly. But once you've made 5 retractions, you get your pen license taken away from you.
It gets better. One of them he had to retract twice. Because he put it in a different place. So 5 papers, but 6 retractions.
Dude.
I know. And this one is particular. This one from 2003 was on soy consumption. Okay. So as we always do in Wholesome, it always ends up talking about soy consumption.
Bottomless bowl of soy? Bottomless bowl of soy sauce. How much soy sauce will you eat if it's either a bowl of soy sauce or it's a bottomless bowl of soy sauce? Just keep eating. Is it
thickened soy sauce, or is it just that? Is it the light soy? I mean, let's get specific. So I love this. So in 2017, there's a guy from a PhD student from the University of Groningen called Nick Brown, and he's got a blog called, I love this, Nick Brown's blog, The Adventures of a Self-Appointed Data Police Cadet.
That's nice.
He's actually got a reputation, as they call, there's a number of them called data thugs who really go in and rip shit apart and check it out. Another story. Anyway, so Nick Brown's blog. So in 2017, he noticed that Wansink's paper on soy consumption contained text copied from 2 previous papers that Wansink had co-authored in the 2 previous years. So 2001, 2002, text straight from those papers.
Was it Wansink's name?
Yes, and his affiliation.
Yeah, there you go. So that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
You do that.
That's not cheating. That's just saying who you are.
That's your name. You can't come up with a new name every time you do a paper.
Maybe we should. I do it for every episode.
What was the text? What did he copy? Just some stuff.
It didn't get into that, but it did say there are also mysterious statistical patterns. I love the air quotes around mysterious in all 3 of the papers. So all 3 of these soy things.
Yeah, it was ghost statistics and
ghost soy.
There was a poltergeist in the stats. Someone's throwing.
That's the problem with using computers. We should do all our stats by hand, like I did in the old days. What Brown said was, we've seen what appear to be impossible means and test statistics, inconsistent descriptions of the same research across articles, and a recycling of text, and even it would appear a table of results from one article or book chapter to another. So literally a whole table even. That doesn't happen in essentially social research. You don't get the same tables of data. It just doesn't happen.
No.
Brown goes on, the attitudes towards soy products reported by the studies are remarkably similar, despite the samples having been drawn from completely different populations And the similarity also seems to apply to the items for which the results give impossible test statistics.
I don't get it. Just this guy, he had a lab. So surely he's got a bunch of people that are there to do all the analysis, do all the experiments, and set this up. Why is he faking this stuff?
Oh, we're going to talk about some of his lab mates. According to Brian Wansink's lab, he calls it's like a food processing company. And this will resonate with anyone who's even vaguely related to academia, which is you and me.
Yes.
So what Nick Brown says is what they're doing is making a very small amount of science go a very long way when you spread it thinly and you cut it with water and modified starch. The product, which is the paper, is designed and marketed before it's even been built. And he says, look, obviously this behavior goes on in a lot of labs, but, and this is my favorite quote from Brown, science by volume, science by output or by yardage, that's got to stop. And we agree, like it's salami slicing. Take one little result, spread it out as thinly as you can and get 19 papers. It's balls. He does acknowledge that the problem is it's a lot of people's paychecks that rely on this. And the business model is extract whatever you can. So there's a tension here.
Yeah, but salami slicing typically works on at least the idea that everything is legitimate. Like you've actually done the experiment and maybe you've asked 10 questions and you've said, okay, question 1, 2, 3 can be this study and question 4, 5, 6 over here. But he seems like he's actually, telling some other story rather than,
Oh, let me give you some examples.
Oh, good.
So 2018, beginning of it, BuzzFeed seemed to have broken the story in a big way. So a reporter called Stephanie Lee, a story called Here's How Cornell Scientist Brian Wansink Turned Shoddy Data into Viral Studies About How We Eat. And it included emails that were being sent by Wansink to members of his lab. So there are emails in which he and his team discussed and even joked about exhaustively mining data sets for impressive looking results. They strategized how to publish subpar studies, sometimes targeting journals with low standards.
Don't strategize how to publish low-par studies. No. Just strategize how to get better studies.
Yeah, or put them all together. They often wrote and framed their findings in the hopes of stirring up media coverage to, as Wansink put it himself, quote, go virally big time.
Oh, look, okay, so that's not a crime. That's not a crime.
Oh, no, wanting it to go viral is fine because we know what you do. That you just hashtag make viral and it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah, you don't have to fuck with your data. So there's emails that say there's an email where he was coaching a research assistant who was going to come to his lab from Turkey, I believe. So she, I think I'm not sure about the Turkish name, was going to come over. And he basically said to her, he didn't say massage, but it's what it boiled down to. They're talking about how much pizza people eat at an all-you-can-eat self-serve buffet. Mm-hmm. Who hasn't wanted to know that? 700
slices. Are they 15-year-olds, probably 15-year-old boys here, who do set a competition to how much pizza you can eat? Is that who they're studying?
Who didn't do that, though? From 15 to 43.
There was a time when some mates and I went to, we wanted to see when Sizzler would kick us out. I think Sizzler being the all-you-can-eat all-you-can-eat restaurant. And I think we turned up at 11 o'clock and said, all right, let's see when they would kick us out. And you know what? Sorry?
In the morning, I assume.
11 o'clock in the morning. 11 o'clock in the morning. We thought, we got nothing to do.
Give ourselves time.
Let's give ourselves time to sit here. And, we were poor students and we were hungry at the time. So we thought, let's do this. Look, to be honest, they were very good about it and they did not kick us out because we got to 6 o'clock in the afternoon and we were like,
oh, fuck.
God damn, I am so bored and so full. I cannot be here anymore. And they're just like, okay, guys, thank you for your custom.
They've got a little piece of paper behind the counter going, and another bunch of wankers got beaten by Sizzler. Well, we just let them do it to themselves.
Exactly. Why would they kick you out? Because you will get full a long time before you will hit into their profit margins on the salad bar.
It's fair to say their cost model probably took people like you into account.
Indeed.
So Wansink advised this research or this incoming research assistant. First, he said he wanted her to break up the diners into all kinds of groups. So let's look at them: males versus females, lunch goers, dinner goers, people sitting alone, people eating in groups of 2, people in groups of more than 2, people who order alcohol, people who order soft drinks, people who sit close to the buffet, people who sit further away. So basically everything you could think of. And then he said, dig for statistical relationships between these groups: number of pieces of pizza, number of trips, how high they fill their plate, did they get dessert, did they order a drink? So he just went, look at everything you can possibly find.
Okay.
No hypothesis, just look at everything. And what he wrote is, this is really important to try and find as many things here as you possibly can before you come to us. Doing so would not only help you impress the lab, but it would be the highest likelihood of you getting something publishable out of your visit to us. So he's basically saying, show us. And he concludes, work hard, squeeze some blood out of this rock, and we'll see you soon.
Cool. Squeeze some blood out of this. Like as a definition of pea hacking, that's awesome.
It's not ambiguous. I mean, look, it could be argued that it is, but only slightly. And apparently the student said, yeah, okay, cool, I'll do what I can. I'll try to dig out the data in the way you describe. So she had a crack. There were 4 pizza papers. They were eventually retracted or corrected. And there were more emails after this article between him and one of his longtime collaborators called Colin Payne, and it revealed at least 2 published studies that were based on bollocks data, but they've had no public scrutiny, at least at the time of this article. So there's a lot. Eventually, critics around the world looked through 50 of his old studies, and they've got a Wansink dossier of errors and inconsistencies that suggested, and I love this line, he aggressively manipulated data. I mean, aggressive manipulation of data, like the idea that you're angry at your computer and tearing shit apart. So it goes further. Look, some of these descriptions are great. So there's an article in a student newspaper at the Cornell called the Daily Sun. So a journo called Emma Newberger, she spoke to a research assistant who'd worked with Wansink in 2017-18, who didn't want to be associated with the work anymore. She said she'd had enough.
Sure.
So she said, Wansink often encouraged members of the lab to produce as many observations and variables as possible for a given study.
I just like though that obviously in the mob, when you want to get out, you're no longer associated with you. I don't want to do this anymore. It's very hard to leave the mob. I like this idea of having to write off your former lab and say, no, I don't want to be associated. I want out.
I got my standards. What do you do those 2 years in your CV? I don't want to talk about it. I'm going straight. So he'd encourage his members of his lab to produce observations for as many as they could find, no matter what. They would chase down conclusions and try and prove them before they had the data to suggest them.
Yep.
Quote, many people need to review his papers and spend more time actually reviewing his data, she said. He should hire people to specifically go over the data because a lot of what he did was, she calls it very independent, which I assume is...
What does that mean?
I don't know. Strangely downy?
Outside of normal traditions, maybe? Let's go charitable in that sort.
Yeah, what kind of weirdo works alone? There was another one who worked in his lab. She didn't want to identify herself because she thought it might, damage her professional future. And she said, look, we already had many of the results we wanted in our minds, and many of the studies fellow students and I were involved in were observational. So they just had a little look-see for things they always wanted to find anyway.
Yeah.
And basically the conclusions we were aiming to draw were things like sit far away from the buffet, wear jeans, etc. So wear tight pants instead of your stretchy pants.
Oh, okay.
So that you don't eat less. Sit a long way away so it's less convenient to get there. So these are the things he wanted to find anyway because he'd assumed would work. It's back to what you were saying earlier. Like, surely if the bowl keeps filling, you'd keep eating a bit more. Like, that makes sense. This is why I get mad with hacks. That balls. So anyway, his most recent one, the latest one I saw that was retracted. Attractive names sustain increased vegetable intake in schools.
What? Attractive names of what?
In this case, or names, and it also turned out to be labels on fruit and stuff for kids to eat vegetables and things. So this is published in 2012 in the issue.
Like the Pokemon apple is eaten a lot more than the
Elmo stickers on fruit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So he and his buddy Payne, I mentioned earlier, they published a study, basically said if you decorate apples with stickers of Elmo and stuff, students would be more likely to pick fruit over cookies at lunchtime.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I call balls to that. But anyway, I reckon they just nick the sticker.
It'll have an effect. They'll notice it a bit more. They spend a bit more time. I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, Payne apparently said back in 2008, he was looking over the data and after it had been collected, and he said, look, I'm not finding a strong connection between apples and Elmo so far. He said, I've attached some initial results of the kids' study to this message for your report. He wrote to his collaborators, including Brian. Do not despair. It looks like stickers on fruit may work, in brackets, with a little bit more wizardry.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's great. A little bit more wizardry. That sounds...
Could mean anything. Could mean anything.
Yeah, you're not quite doing science when you explicitly say
no, you're doing magic. You're doing wizardry. I'd much rather do wizardry. I think that'd be fun. So Wansink then acknowledges that the paper was weak when he was preparing it to submit to journals. The p-value, the probability, blah, blah, was 0.06, which is just short of the 0.05 gold standard. And he put it's a sticking point. He put in an email and he said, look, it seems to me it should be lower.
It should. It should.
Be lower.
Should. I mean, yeah, should is a great way to talk to your data.
Oh, it goes better. He says to these people, he attaches a draft to the paper and says, look, it seems to me it should be lower. Do you want to take a look at it and see what you think? If you can get the data, and I think it needs some tweaking to get to the value of 0.05, that would be better. Could mean anything. Could mean anything. So basically, it appeared in the prestigious JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association Pediatrics, with the 0.6 value there. So he left a 0.06. Then it was retracted and replaced with a version that drops that value to 0.02. I don't know why. So they somehow magically changed the significance level. Then apparently a month later, it was retracted again for a different reason. He said the experiment had been done on 8 to 11-year-olds, but it had actually been done on he said it had been done on preschoolers, but he'd done on 8 to 11-year-olds. So he even misrepresented who he studied.
It's just weird. I know. That's just weird. Just
very weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're all kids. Who cares? Who cares about the difference? Whatever. They're under 25. I can't see the difference.
3-year-old to 10-year-old, same. Yeah. Exactly the same.
One's a magic pudding and one's not. So who can tell the difference?
It's interesting. Like, it sounds like he was just a little bit odd. Like you've been saying all along. I feel like he was faking shit he didn't need to.
I really do. Yeah. I mean, surely some of these effects would work. Okay. I'm surprised they didn't find something easy with the Elmo sticker, but so what? You didn't find it.
Yeah, so get over it and move on. So his co-authors and he responded saying, these mistakes and omissions do not change the general conclusion of the paper that attractive names or labels increase vegetable intake in schools across a wide range of children. But other researchers said balls to that. So Nick Brown, our mate, the data police cadet thing, said, corrected or not, cannot be the basis of any sort of scientific conclusion about whether changing the labels on vegetables makes children want to eat more of them. So he basically said the stats didn't show that, so you can't make that claim scientifically.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. According to those rules, he's not wrong. So anyway, Brian got busted, as we found out a little ways back. So he wrote an email to the Washington Post in 2018, and he said, look, the retractions, as far as he was concerned, came as quite a surprise. And what he wrote to them was, from my co-authors, and I believed...
Getting caught always comes as a surprise, I guess.
Yeah, I can't believe I got caught. I mean, I can't believe... that was a problem.
Yeah.
But he said, look, my independent analysis of our data set confirmed all of our published findings. What we did not keep, and this is interesting, what we did not keep over the past 25 years are the original pencil and paper surveys and coding sheets that we used in these papers.
Yeah, because we rubbed them out. Like we got a rubber and erased all the pencil. So
yeah, no, we recycling. We're not monsters. As he goes on, that is, once we combined all the data into spreadsheets, we tossed the pencil and paper versions. That might be why they said they couldn't reproduce those from scratch, because there was no scratch.
No, you don't. No, you don't need the original server. Anyway, all right.
No. As I told my co-authors, I'm very proud of all these papers, and I'm confident they'll be replicated by other groups. Narrators, no, they weren't.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's true. This is 2018. So Cornell said in a statement in late 2018, after a year-long review, they found that Brian Wansink, quote, committed academic misconduct in his research and scholarship, including misreporting of research data, problematic statistical techniques, failure to properly document and preserve research results, and inappropriate authorship. So that's the announcement from them again. And there was a whole bunch of other things that caused trouble for retractions from JAMA networks, et cetera, Journal of American Medical Association. Then once in email, there was an email to the Washington Post with the news of his retirement.
Oh, okay.
Which included statements attributed to the university. This is from Wansink, but attributed to the university. And it said, according to Wansink, Cornell and Professor Wansink mutually have decided that Professor Wansink's research approach and goals differ from the academic expectations of Cornell, and they have decided to part ways accordingly.
We expected different things. Yeah, their visions don't align.
And apparently Cornell said, he won't teach or participate in research in his remaining time at the uni, but he will cooperate in an ongoing review of his work. So
you can basically sit in your office and you can try and show that it wasn't dodgy, but
no, he's cooperating with investigators. So mindless eating today, where's it at after all this?
Yeah, see, this is I still think a lot of these things just seem plausibly true. That I'm surprised that science hasn't shown this.
It appears not. There's no reference to other people replicating. There may be. I mean, I looked at about 15 sources, but there would be others. So I was rummaging around to see if it's still being talked about. August 2020. so a month ago, from the UK Telegraph, the journalist Linda Blair, which is of course scary because
she was born innocent.
Yep, and she was the little girl in The Exorcist.
Yes,
terrifying. They don't even hint that there was any question of his work. They just start talking about it. So they say the little known secrets to eating less. It's not just what you eat, but how you eat that can make a difference, according to research.
Oh, seriously? Yeah. Okay. Well, look, there you go. The truth can get around the world lies can get around the world before the truth gets its pants on.
Before boots truth.
Yeah. There you go.
So they're saying like September can be a great time to change your life for the better, and for many of us, we resolve to lose weight. That's top of the list.
What, in September? Why September?
Spring.
This is only in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, that's the UK too. The UK Telegraph.
They're heading into winter. No one is changing their life as they go into winter.
I don't want to. Yeah, I want to lose weight for winter.
No, you're bunkering down. You're going, I'm just checking. Like I get, change your life for summer. You're like, shit, I'm going to the beach tomorrow. I'm going to
be naked a lot.
I'm going to lose 30 kilos. So what am I going to do? I get that. But no one
cut off my leg and buy a G-string. I'm not an idiot.
Winter, you're like, I'm slapping on the pounds.
But yeah, as I was saying, so they're talking about the government's latest health drive talks of calories and healthy food, but are you aware of the importance of crockery, cutlery, and glassware?
Okay.
Plate size influences the amount we eat, according to Brian Wansink at Cornell University. He's not anymore. This is 2020. In a number of studies, he found participants who eat from larger plates or bowls consume more than those who use smaller crockery.
This is awesome.
Bizarrely, the effect is reduced if the plate or bowl is similar in color to the tablecloth.
What? Okay.
I know. Why not?
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, wow.
We're talking, yeah.
Okay. Look, and maybe I've just internalized so many of these things that I've heard about these things over the years. You think, okay, smaller bowls, bigger bowls, blah, blah, blah. And so I've internalized them to the point where you think, okay, that rings with a grain of truthiness. But
they're very truthy. And look, that doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. They're very, very truthy. I mean, they quote one where cutlery size matters, but also in another experiment.
Sure, eat with a fork that is too big to actually pick up.
Yeah, eat with a shovel.
And you won't eat a lot.
I use a garden spade to eat all my ice cream.
Nice. That will
go
slow
through
you
a
down.
lot of ice cream. But they're saying, so Wansink recruited 85 nutritionists who are experts on food value and calories and getting them to eat ice cream. This is what they're saying. And
Hang on, he's getting nutritionists to eat ice cream.
Yes, I know.
And watching them
he's
process the sweat. Like, see,
imagine how much they would hate it.
I want to do this. Why am I doing it?
I can't eat ice cream.
No, nutritionists are all they're very wise about these things. They're like, we're allowed our treats, especially when we're told to.
Most of the ones
I've
met are actually reasonable. There's just the ones on TV who are shitheads. So he randomly offered them a large or small serving bowl, a large or small scoop of ice cream, and encouraged them to serve themselves as much as they would like. So ice cream scoop, not scoop of ice cream.
Yeah, that'd be weird. Have as much of this scoop of ice cream as
But then, here's a spoon. Eat as much or as little as you want. But those who were given larger bowls ate a third more ice cream. Those given larger spoons ate 20% about 12% more.
But once you're in that test where it's eat as much of this as you like, you're like, well, I know what the test is. Seriously,
Wait a minute, you're Brian Wansink.
Yeah, there you go.
I know what you do.
You've got to obscure these things. It's like you give people a scoop of ice cream and then they say, we were testing how you treated prisoners. Would you torture them or not? And it's like,
yes,
well, what did I do? I didn't torture anybody. So
I was just eating ice cream. Yeah, that's what it says about you.
Yeah,
liberal.
that's the torturing.
But it goes on. It talks about, how much wine to drink. It talks about glass sizes, et cetera, et cetera. And it finally says, how can you apply these findings to help with your efforts to lose weight? Choose smaller plates and bowls. Eating from heavier rather than lighter bowls will also help you feel more satisfied. Minimize the color contrast between your crockery and the table.
I don't understand that one. So
neither do I.
Your crockery is blending into the table, so you stop eating. I don't understand.
I don't get that either. And I didn't have time to look into that study. Use smaller cutlery. Drink from tall, slender glasses rather than curved or flat ones. Blah blah blah. So it's still being touted today. Essentially today. This is being recorded in September 2020. So this article's from last month. And in and of itself, as you say, like the truthiness is really strong. But what I like is the headline is, according to research, basically the science is telling us this. There was no inkling that he'd been basically kicked in the scientific dick repeatedly.
Takes so long. I mean, a retraction to get out to the, when he said originally, I want stuff that'll go viral. Retractions
2.5 years.
Retractions don't get out there. But
he got booted in 2018. This is mid 2020 though. That's
Yep. Now I can believe within his field and within his university, sure, people understand these have been retracted and he's dodgy. But getting out there into the wider world, wow, that's a tough one. And look, I think there's an awesome science communication challenge to think about. How do you process retractions out there in the wider world? Because most retractions are pretty niche, but this is stuff that actually people around the world change behavior based on.
Yeah, hugely. But also, arguably, who cares? Like, so what? I changed my cutlery size. Oh my God, look at what he's done to these people.
I want my cutlery back. I liked my old cutlery, but I did this because I wanted to lose.
I spent $10 on spoons today. No,
I bought very expensive spoons. So
of course you did. You're fancy.
Yeah, what else am I going to do?
I mean, you bought a genetically engineered dog. I mean, that's not cheap.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I just think it's fascinating because it really does bring this whole thing up of like, the idea that you go and dig through your data until you find something, I recognize that it's poor behavior, but there's a part of me that says, like in my gut, not my research or intellect brain, but my gut says, but if the data show it,
but it's there.
Does that mean it's wicked?
Is it there? Is it there?
Yeah, if the data can actually show it, even if you didn't have a pre-existing hypothesis.
Nah.
And that's why any listeners here who are really into the stats and the probabilities will be like, these guys are monsters, or at least I am for even suggesting that. But I'm like, there's a part of me, even having been involved in this kind of work for 30 years, that goes,
is any data a truly representative picture of the world? And when you have got a small sample, you go, we had 40 people do this study or whatever. It's a small sample, and what are the random effects going on there? So you really, can you trust that? So,
and also, why the hell should your gut not have any influence? Because exactly as you were saying from the very beginning, but surely that would have an effect.
No, but I think your gut legitimately has influence on your hypothesis. As in I reckon surely if you have an endless bowl, people are going to eat more. That's a good gut response, and you could check out there in the literature and see what people have said, and then you can go, all right, let's set up a cool kooky experiment where we get 10-year-olds to eat from an endless bowl of soup and see how much they eat.
10-year-old.
I just, they would
obsession,
be,
man.
Yeah, they would be more perplexed by it than anyone else. I think they like so. If you had a 2-year-old would not think they don't see that.
Pick up the bowl and pour it on their head, right?
And yeah, exactly. An adult would be like, oh, I got it. You're tricking me here. You're tricking me. Whereas a 10-year-old, they'd be right on that. What the fuck is going on with reality here? I keep eating and what is going on? And so, yeah, they are the group that I would love to stress with this. So
what you're saying is you would like to experiment on 10-year-olds. That's my takeaway.
Literally. No, but I think that is the zone where that's a legitimate hypothesis to go out and test. That's a great zone for your gut. But if you can't, I'm so surprised.
The difference is, I think the biggest argument
or
problem is what he did was say out loud what he should have said inside, which is, I want to find evidence to support this hypothesis. Not, I wonder what it is.
Yeah, indeed.
And to be fair, a lot of people, I'm sure, would in their heads be saying, I want to find evidence to support my hypothesis. Not, I wonder if it's right. They all talk about, oh, no, we're just truly exploring in the spirit of inquiry. And if we're wrong, well, that's fine. But for many people, I'm thinking that's balls. But you don't say out loud, find me evidence that proves this. You say, let's have a look and see. And I think that might have been one of his biggest crimes. He basically said in writing and out loud to people, find me a way to prove this.
Of course. But okay, well, here's how he could have had a decent career. He could have gone out there and said, okay, what things can we hack in terms of the ways people eat food that will help them to not eat as much or to eat more healthy or whatever it is, that kind of thing. Surely there are legitimate things that you can do. I guarantee it,
Also, or write the book anyway, because people would buy that book, and don't say this is based on rigorous statistically,
no, people love studies. The stats though. People love the stats.
But you could say, 20 of the 30 people I asked said this. In the popular world, that's stats.
Yeah.
You don't need a p-value. You don't need probability here. If you want to sell books, if you want to go viral, it doesn't have to be complete shit, but it doesn't have to be statistically rigorous either.
It doesn't hurt to be statistically rigorous. Don't fight against that.
Well, it did hurt him.
It did hurt him. Do both. Do it properly. There's got to be. Come on, listener. Do you do some food hacks out there and find me the food hacks that will allow me to drink whatever I want and eat whatever I want, and also be an Adonis. So there you go.
You already are, man.
Thank you. Solved.
Give yourself a break. I got a 3-pack. You got like a 9-pack.
There you go. So it's fine.
Give me 3 of yours.
Oh, there you go. You can have them. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Zoom's good for everything.
Well, there you go. Food hacks, or not.
Food hacks and p-values. I mean, the obvious combination.
I'm still struggling that he didn't find stuff. It's so weird.
Well, arguably he did, but he didn't find them in a way that made the establishment happy.
He found
Fight the
them
man,
naughty.
man. Fight the man.
The Wholesome Show does and does not believe in food hacks and does not believe in pee hacking. So don't do that. Don't do that. But,
No,
maybe there's
never
some
hack your
food hacks that are
Never hack your
legitimate. But it's also me, Will Grant, and him, Rod Lamberts, and is brought to you by the Australian National Centre for the Public Awareness of Science. Next week, listener.